With the new Scottish Premiership season looming and European qualifiers already in full swing, Rangers have no time to waste. The club is moving quickly behind the scenes and Russell Martin knows exactly what's at stake. The pressure is on to build a squad capable of competing both domestically and in Europe. And one name in particular has captured all the attention this week. A move that could be sailed any moment now, and it's already been confirmed by the ever-reliable Fabrizio Romano. This isn't just another rumor, it's a real development that could give Rangers the spark they need heading into a defining stretch of the season. Now, while excitement brews around this potential signing, there's also been some frustration in the air. Rangers have been strongly linked with a move for Crystal Palace talent Jesin Raki, a name that had supporters buzzing with anticipation. The idea was to bring him in on an initial loan with an option to buy. A clever move, especially considering his pace, technical ability, and his experience within England's youth setup. But things have hit a wall. Palace boss Oliver Glasgow has made it clear that no one's leaving unless the Premier League side brings in replacements. That message was pretty direct and you can feel the tension in his words. Glasgow spoke to Austrian press and didn't hold back, saying that he had expected more activity from the Palace board and that he currently has just 17 outfield players at his disposal. 17. That's nowhere near enough for a side competing in England's top flight, and Glasnow's clearly not willing to weaken his squad any further unless he gets fresh faces in first. To make matters worse, Raki picked up a knock in a recent friendly against Crawley Town and had to limp off. No official word yet on how serious the injury is, but it certainly doesn't help Rangers' chances of landing him in the short term. It's a frustrating situation because everyone involved sees the potential. Even Russell Martin, when asked about it last week, acknowledged the player's quality. He didn't confirm anything, and he's careful not to feed speculation. But he admitted Raki was someone he'd liked back when he was at Southampton. The recruitment staff are clearly fans as well. Martin made it clear they're casting a wide net looking at different profiles and not locked into just one type of player. But there's one thing he's absolutely firm on: the mentality. They need players who are desperate to come to Ibrox and ready to fight for the badge. That hunger is non-negotiable. So with that door potentially closing for now, attention is turned firmly to the latest big name linked to Ibrox. And this time, it's not just interest. It's real movement. Rangers are on the verge of sealing a deal to bring in Mikey Moore from Tottenham Hotspur, and this could be a massive coup. According to Fabrizio Romano, the deal is nearly complete. The arrangement is expected to be a straight loan with no option to buy running through until June of 2026. Spurs will continue to pay his wages, and all that's left is the final green light from the North London club. It's a matter of days now. And here's the most exciting part. Mikey Moore is keen. He wants this move. He's eager to join the Rangers project and get regular minutes at a club fighting on multiple fronts. This lines up perfectly with what Russell Martin said earlier in the week. He was again careful not to make promises, but his praise for Mikey Moore was clear. He called him a really good player and said that if he becomes a Rangers player, the club will make that official announcement. For now, the work continues behind the scenes, but the optimism is real. And with the opening match of the Premiership season just around the corner against Motherwell under the lights this Saturday, the timing couldn't be better. Rangers need depth, they need options, and they need players who can make a difference immediately. The fixture list isn't letting up either. After the trip to Motherwell, the European calendar comes knocking once again. Rangers carry a strong 2-goal lead into the second leg of their Champions League qualifier against Panathinaikos in Athens. But nothing is guaranteed, and Martin isn't taking anything for granted. He made it very clear. Rangers play to win. There's no such thing as a defensive mindset in his approach. Every game is a chance to assert dominance, and every opportunity to reach the group stages is treated like a final. That's the kind of intensity you need at this level. Still, the squad isn't without its concerns. A few new signings like Asghar and HAMZA IGGERMAN didn't make the trip to Greece. That raises questions about their availability for the league opener as well. These little issues are the kinds of problems that can build up quickly when games are coming thick and fast. It's exactly why the addition of someone like Mikey Moore, young, talented, hungry, becomes all the more important. He's not being brought in just to fill a gap. He's someone who can actually tilt the balance in tight matches. That little bit of spark, that moment of individual brilliance, Rangers have been looking for that, and Moore could provide it. Meanwhile, not everyone's future at Ibrox looks as promising. Midfielder Jose Cifuentes has officially been told that he has no future with the club. Once seen as a key addition, a player who arrived with the promise of taking Rangers to another level, the Ecuadorian now finds himself on the way out. After loan spells in Brazil with Cruzeiro and in Greece with Aris Thessaloniki, it's clear that things haven't worked out. Reports from Brazil suggested Sport Recife were in talks over another loan deal, but reliable sources close to Rangers have denied that. The club's stance is firm: there will be no more loans. Cifuentes will only leave on a permanent deal. He still has 2 years left on his contract signed when Michael Beale was in charge, but the current regime is focused on trimming the wage bill and clearing space for players that fit Martin's vision. It's another reminder of how quickly things can change in football. 1 minute you're seen as the future, and the next you're on the list of departures. Another player heading for the exit is Ross McCausland. He's agreed a loan move to AEL, Limassol in Cyprus, where he'll link up with former teammates like Connor Goldson and Leon Balogun. Robin van Persie has already completed his return to FC Twente, and more exits are expected in the coming days. Players like Ben Davies and Kieran Dowell are also attracting interest, and the club is open to the right offers. The squad is evolving fast, and Martin is reshaping it in his image. Back to Mikey Moore. Spurs boss Thomas Frank confirmed the player would be allowed to leave on loan, emphasizing that the move is about getting consistent first-team minutes. That's exactly what Moore needs at this stage of his development. He's already made waves at youth level in England, and now it's about proving himself in a senior environment. Ibrox offers him that platform. It's high pressure, sure, but also high reward. If he settles quickly, he could be a difference maker, not just in the league, but in Europe too. And crucially, the timeline works. If Rangers finalize the deal this week, Moore can be registered in time for upcoming qualifiers, be it against Servette Victoria Plzen or potentially even Shakhtar Donetsk or Besiktas if they shift into Europa League territory. Every day matters now. The window is ticking. The matches are coming fast, and Rangers are making their moves. With the right additions, the momentum is building. And for supporters, the signs are clear. Something is happening. There's a new energy around the club, and the summer's not over yet. And while all the buzz is surrounding Mikey Moore and the ongoing transformation under Russell Martin, there's an equally important narrative happening quietly, and that's the clear out. Every successful rebuild isn't just about who comes in, but also who moves on. And at Ibrox right now, there's a real sense of finality for several names that were once expected to play key roles. Martin's vision for this squad is sharp and uncompromising. There's no room for sentiment, only for players who fit the plan. Technically, tactically, and mentally. Cifuentes, as mentioned earlier, is at the top of that list. His arrival from LAFC was initially greeted with huge optimism. At 26, a full international with Copa Libertadores experience, he looked like a smart bit of business. But things haven't clicked. Whether it's been form fitness or simply not fitting into the demands of Scottish football, it hasn't worked out. And now the club's been clear. No more loans, no more maybes. Only a permanent transfer will do, and that decision signals a firm end to the Cifuentes chapter at Rangers. The player, for his part, is reportedly open to a move with interest from South America, Greece, and the MLS, but no deal has yet been agreed. His wages are a factor, and Rangers are understandably keen to clear that from the books as they continue to reshape the spine of the team. And that spine is exactly where Russell Martin is focusing his energy. His teams are built on a certain style, brave in possession, structured in transitions, and relentless in pressing. It's why the profile of player coming in looks very different from those on the way out. Young, quick, dynamic, mentally switched on. That's what you're seeing with the likes of JD Gazama and now potentially Mikey Moore. These are players who don't just fill a role, but add layers to the tactical options. Moore in particular brings a left-footed threat from the right-hand side, capable of cutting in, combining in tight spaces, and making those smart inside runs that stretch defenses. It's a different kind of weapon, and Martin clearly sees him as someone who can slot into the fluid front three he's trying to establish. What's also worth noting is the attitude shift within the dressing room. Players are being told clearly where they stand. There's no limbo. Either you're part of the project or you're not. And that directness is earning respect internally. Take Ross McCausland's situation, for example. Rather than sit on the bench or bounce between squads, the winger is off to Cyprus for real minutes in a professional environment where he'll be tested physically and mentally. That experience, if handled properly, could turn him into a more complete player, someone ready to fight for a place when he returns. Or just as likely, it could be the start of a permanent move away. Either outcome suits the club, and that's the kind of clarity that wasn't always present in past regimes. Meanwhile, there's also been movement in terms of defensive reshuffling. With names like Ben Davies and Kieran Dow now being linked with exits, it's clear Martin is determined to bring in defenders who can do more than just survive in Scottish football. He wants centre-backs who can carry the ball pass under pressure and handle the high line he's asking the team to adopt. That's not an easy profile to find, especially within budget, but the intent is obvious. Rangers aren't looking for depth, they're looking for difference makers. And that takes smart scouting, brave decisions, and a willingness to cut ties with familiar names. All of this is happening against a backdrop of enormous pressure. This isn't just a transition year. This is a season where the stakes are massive. The Champions League qualifiers are make or break in terms of finances and prestige. A slip in Athens and suddenly you're on the back foot, dealing with the Europa League path, shorter rest periods, and far less financial upside. And yet Martin's approach has been refreshingly bold. There's been no talk of sitting back or protecting leads. It's about imposing a style, setting a tone, and building belief through performances, not just results. That's risky, of course, but it's also the kind of mentality shift that separates the great managers from the merely good ones. Supporters have picked up on that shift too. There's a cautious optimism building, not based on hype, but on what they're seeing on the pitch. The preseason wasn't perfect, but there were glimpses of the system taking hold. Players looked sharper, more connected. And now with the season opener against Motherwell just days away, there's genuine excitement about how this squad might evolve over the next few weeks, especially with more additions expected. The Moore deal, for example, is still pending final approval, but Spurs boss Thomas Frank was crystal clear in his press briefing. He wants Moore to get regular first-team minutes, and Rangers offers that platform. It's a win-win. Spurs get their player developed in a competitive environment, and Rangers get a talent who's already shown flashes of brilliance at youth international level. The lack of a buy clause might disappoint some fans, but it's important to view this move in context. This is about impact. Rangers need players who can deliver now, and if Moore helps win key games in August and September, that alone justifies the loan. But it's not just about August or even September. What Martin and the backroom staff are doing is laying foundations. You don't rebuild a squad in one window, especially not on a tight budget. But what you can do is change the culture. You can raise the standards, shift the expectations, and demand more from every individual. Staff, players, everyone. That's what's happening right now. The squad might not be finished. There are still holes to fill and tweaks to be made. But the direction is clear, and that clarity is powerful. In fact, that clarity is exactly what makes the Cifuentes and McCausland decisions so important. They send a message, not just to supporters, but to the rest of the dressing room. This is no longer a club where players can coast. Every position is up for grabs. Every spot in the matchday squad is earned, not given. And if you're not part of the future, the club will move decisively to find a solution. That kind of ruthless professionalism is what's been missing in recent years, especially in terms of how Rangers handle outgoing transfers. Too often players have lingered, contributing little but collecting big wages. That era is ending. And then there's the fixture calendar. Once the league kicks off, there's barely room to breathe. Between league matches, European qualifiers, and cup commitments, the depth of this squad will be tested almost immediately. That's why players like Mikey Moore are so crucial. It's not just about starting heirloom quality. It's about having bench options that can change a game. That can run at tired legs, win fouls, stretch defenses, and maybe, just maybe, provide the moment of magic that secures 3 points on a cold Wednesday night in Dundee or a European tie that goes to extra time. It's a huge gamble relying on a 17-year-old to come in and make that sort of difference. But it also shows faith. Martin believes in talent, or more importantly, in developing it. He's not afraid to give young players real responsibility. And in a league that sometimes leans on experience and grit, that boldness could give Rangers a unique edge. Let's not forget the emotional element either. This is Rangers. This is a club where expectations never dip, where fans demand not just victories, but a certain standard of football. That pressure is enormous, and yet Martin has embraced it. He's not hiding from it. He's using it as fuel. You can see it in the way he talks, the way he sets up his team. There's no fear, only focus. That's not something you can fake. It either exists in a manager or it doesn't. And right now you get the feeling that Martin has it. Of course things can still go wrong. Injuries, tough results, unexpected exits. This is football after all. But the groundwork is being laid. And if the club can navigate the next 2 to 3 weeks successfully, with a couple more smart additions, strong results in Europe, and a solid start in the league, then the trajectory could be special. The mood is changing. The recruitment is smarter. The strategy is clearer. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like Rangers are building something that isn't just about short-term fixes, but long-term success. The next few days are critical. Whether it's Moore finalizing his move, Cifuentes finding a permanent exit, or Martin making another surprise signing, every piece matters. The margins are razor thin, but the ambition is unmistakable. Rangers are moving, and they're moving with purpose. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a rumble brewing in Govan, and it's not just the sound of thunder rolling over the Clyde. Word on the street, and increasingly within the hallowed halls of Ibrox, is that Rangers captain James Tavernier might be weighing up his options after an alleged bust-up with new signing HAMZA IGGERMAN. While there's been no official word for either club, the whispers are growing louder by the hour. And where there's smoke in Glasgow, there's usually a blue flare or two not far behind. Tavernier, a stalwart of the light blue since 2015. Is as close to Ibrox royalty as you can get without a statue outside the Copland Road stand. His leadership, his penalties, and his never-say-die runs down the right flank have made him both a fan favorite and a target for pundits whenever results dip. But now, there's chatter that the long-serving skipper's patience may be wearing thin. No with the fans nor the gaffer, but with a certain fiery new face in the dressing room, sources close to the squad, who've chosen to remain anonymous. As you'd expect with this sort of thing, claim that tensions flared between Tavernier and IGGERMAN during a recent training session. Words were exchanged, voices raised, and the atmosphere, we're told, turned icy enough to freeze your Bovril. IGGERMAN, a summer signing tipped to bring continental class and bite to the midfield, is said to be full of confidence. Maybe a touch too much, if some insiders are to be believed. He's no scared to speak his mind, and he's no one for taking orders if he doesn't respect you, one source said. He's rubbed a few the wrong way already, and Tav's know to sort to back down when he feels the club's values are being challenged. It's understood that manager Philippe Clement stepped in there, cooled the situation. But questions linger. Has the damage already been done? More intriguingly, could this be the push that finally sends Tavernier, long rumored to be on the radar of clubs in England and the Middle East, toward the Ibrox exit? Some fans might scoff at the idea. After all, this is a man who's led Rangers through highs and lows, lifted the league trophy in that unforgettable 2020-21 season, and stood tall in countless old firm battles. But football's a fickle game, and even the most loyal servants can feel the strain when the walls start closing in. There's also the sense that Tavernier, now in his early 30s, may be ready for a fresh challenge. He's accomplished nearly everything that is domestically, and while he's still got legs and leadership, the lure of a final big move might be difficult to resist, especially if the harmony in the dressing room is starting to crack. Adding, fuel to the fire are whispers that his agent's been spotted in London recently. Though whether it's related to their footballing matters or simply a weekend jaunt remains a mystery. In this city, though, such sightings rarely go unnoticed, and the rumor mill never sleeps. Rangers, as expected, have refused to comment publicly on any of it. When pressed earlier this week, Clement offered only a tight-lipped everything's. Finding a squad before swiftly moving on to talk about preparations for the next match. But fine can mean a lot of things in Glasgow, especially when your captain might be packing his bags. It's worth remembering that Rangers have already undergone massive changes this summer, with new faces coming in and old favourites moving on. Could Tavernier be the next chapter in the club's evolution, or is this all just idle gossip, stirred by a single heated moment and blown out of proportion by bored journalists and overly eager fans on Twitter? Only time will tell. But if James Tavernier were to walk away from Ibrox, he wouldn't just be leaving behind a club, he'd be leaving a legacy. And for many in the stands, that's a thought too bitter to swallow. Still, we've seen it before. Legends don't always get the fairy tale ending. Sometimes it's a whisper in training, a glance across the pitch, or a single clash of egos. That signals the end. And if what's being whispered behind closed doors is even half true, the Gers might soon be facing a future without their Captain Fantastic. So keep your eyes on Ibrox and your ears to the ground. Because something's stirring, and it's not just the usual Glaswegian summer drizzle. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.